So welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me in either Greek or English or Turkish. It's the first time we've tried using simultaneous translation, so please bear with us if there's a problem. But I think it should work smoothly. We ran a couple of tests earlier. So first of all, thank you very much for your interest in the EU Scholarship Programme for Cypriot Youth at United World Colleges. This is an information session. We have a presentation which you should be able to see on the screen, which will probably last about 15 to 20 minutes. We have an ex-student and a couple of other ex-students on the line who can help us through the conversation. So it won't just be me talking. This year, we have 18 scholarships to offer to Cypriot youth at the same 4 UWC schools that we've been using for the last 2 years, in Mostar, in the Adriatic, in Maastricht, and the Robert Bosch College. Okay, so about the program, this program is now running in its 5th year. We currently have well over 30 students who've been through the program or are in the program. They are studying at United World College schools in Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and in Bosnia, where they're taking the International Baccalaureate Diploma program. This covers the last 2 years of high school. So it's targeted at Cypriot youth who are approximately 15 to 16 years old at the moment, possibly as high as 17, who want to go abroad for 2 years of education. It's a boarding school, it's international, and there are people from all over the world attending these courses. It's a unique opportunity for the locals. I think I've mentioned everything on this school, but just to mention here that UWC is slightly larger than just the 4 schools in Europe. There are 18 boarding schools across the world. They're located in almost every continent. Students are always selected locally from the different countries, and we have representation in over 150 countries who are selecting students to go to United World Colleges and to meet and study with other international students. A very quick map just showing where the UWC colleges are around the world, but we'll focus in on the European colleges, which are the ones that we're offering. The International Baccalaureate is the program that is followed in terms of education. I don't know how many people have heard of it. It's similar to A-levels, if you're familiar with A-levels. It's slightly expanded on the A-level program. It allows you to continue with 6 different subjects instead of narrowing it down to maybe 3. It's a 2-year course. It is accepted worldwide. It's accepted by most international locations, universities all over the place. We'll get into a little bit more detail about the universities later on in the presentation. We're going to talk a little bit here about life at UWC schools, but rather than me talk, we have Leanne, who is an ex-student of the Maastricht school. So I'm going to hand over to Leanne and ask her to tell you a little bit about day-to-day life at the school and the types of activities and programs that they participate in. So Leanne, I don't know if you can take over.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Hello, everyone. My name is Liana, and I graduated last year from UWC Maastricht. And I just want to say how happy I feel to be here today talking about this program, because it really changed my life. And I really hope that for many of you, your life would also change because of this program. As Mike mentioned, life at UWC schools is very unique. There is many opportunities to take part in different activities, and the residential aspect of it as well is very unique. Mike, if you can switch those slides. Yes, so for the UWC experience, before going there, I had many cliches in my mind of how it was going to be. And if I have one goal from the presentation today, is that I hope you get out of this knowing that UWC is so much more than just living abroad or making friends from all over the world or studying the IB. UWC really is a life-changing experience, and for every single person going there, it's a slightly different experience. Mike, can you switch? Yeah. Each student lives in a floor together with other students ranging from 20 to 30 students. Mike, I still see the previous slide. Okay.
Looks like there might be a delay, Leanne.
Okay, that's okay. And with your floor mates, you get to experience together life in a very unusual way compared to normal school because you're all living on the same floor, studying together. And just imagine 25 teenagers on the same floor, experiencing life together every day. And I'm not only talking about the social aspect, but also academically. Imagine what kind of experiences you're going to have, what kind of everyone coming from a different educational background coming together to study the same subjects. How would that look like on a classroom? So if we go to the next slide.
I'm having a small problem moving the slides, Leanne.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe if you can make me, okay. Okay, let me check 1 second. Give me 1 second.
You can't control the presentation.
No, because the slide is 1 slide backwards. It's okay.
You want that one?
Yes, thank you. So as I mentioned about the academic life, each student studies 6 subjects, and there's a wide variety of subjects to choose from, ranging from language and literature, which is a subject focused on the native language of a student, a second language, which can be either a second native language or a foreign language, for example, the local language of the UWC college. Third subject is individual societies, which is subjects such as geography, history, politics, sciences, which ranges from physics, chemistry, to others, for example, design technology, environmental studies, mathematics, which has 4 different categories for students, depending on how much you like math and whether you prefer a more statistical or calculus-based approach. And lastly, the arts, which encompasses many subjects from music to arts and culture. What I like the most about IB for me is the fact that you can make a completely different program based on the subjects that you like and how much specialization you like. For example, you could have all your higher level subjects to be in sciences, or you could have a mixture of science, humanities, or only humanities for higher level. So every single student builds a unique curriculum based on the subjects that they enjoy. Next slide. But for the IB, the most amazing part is the fact that this is not only an academic experience. This is not only about setting papers or parroting, memorizing stuff. This experience is truly hands-on. Every college tries to do their best to make this experience as interactive and as practical as possible. So there are many external visits to places outside of the college. For example, visiting companies to find out about what they do for career related, organizing events within the school, and even understanding the real life context. For example, global politics class in Maastricht gets to go to the International Court of Criminal Justice to actually see how justice is brought to communities after these genocides. And this are so incredible because you don't only learn about how something took place, but you actually understand how can we apply this knowledge. Next slide. Another incredible part of the IB is something called CAS, Creativity, Activity, and Service. For this is part of the school curriculum, so it's during school hours, and every student picks 3 activities. One creativity, for example, something like creative writing, activity, which could be sports, for example, karate, service, which is something related to volunteering. The incredible thing about the CAS is the fact that in every single college, they try their best to make the CAS related to the local culture and as much engaged in the actual culture. So for example, during service, you could be engaged in a local service where not only you help people, but also you get to meet people from the culture and learn the local language. Also activities, for example, in UWC Adriatic, they learn sailing. And creativity, again, You have students coming from all over the world, and they want to bring their culture and teach other people. For example, the Japanese students organize a Japanese club where we got to actually learn about the Japanese culture. And the greatest part is the fact that all of these are completely free and during the school curriculum. So neither money nor time are a factor. And this is more about what you're interested in. What do you want to explore? Next slide. And now I'm going to talk about the social life, which is absolutely incredible in UWC. Every single student comes into UWC with their unique experiences, their unique culture, and every single person is very willing and open, and they really want to share their culture. So you have 200 to 250 students who are all very passionate about their country, and they want to have these discussions. They want to share with you the culture. For example, I remember last April during Ramadan, my Muslim friends offering to share iftar with me and teaching me how to cook Arab food, which for me was an incredibly new experience. And I remember studying until midnight for our final exams, which were coming, and then sitting together, cooking together, and sitting down to eat the food we had cooked together, and just talking about our life back home and our culture, and just laughing the whole time. And this is a very classical UWC experience, just sitting down with your friends and talking and laughing together and not even realizing it at the moment that you're making experiences and memories that you would treasure for your whole life. Next slide. Each UWC school is very immersed in the local culture, and as much as possible, they try to do events with which you get to experience the local culture. And they also try to make it in such a way that economic factor is not a problem. So once again, they will try, for example, to pay for students to go to local events and so on. And there's also so many opportunities to develop leadership skills within the school community. And because it is a residential college and everyone comes from such a diverse background, the leadership skills that you learned are really hands-on, and you truly learn skills that are not just theoretical or kind of leadership on the paper, but truly understanding what is leadership. For example, I remember that I was floor representative during a period of pandemic and leading my floor mates during a period of quarantine and isolation, and learning how to talk with my floor mates with active listening skills so that I could actually support them, not just be floor representative on the paper. Next slide. It might seem super scary at 16, 17, 18 years old, going abroad by yourself, without your friends, without your family, with whom you've grown up your entire life. And for many parents and students, it might seem like something that you're not ready for. But there's school support there and people that are in charge of everything and all of the needs that you have. And the adults there are trained and they really want to build relationships with you that are built on trust. So for example, there's people that will help you with transportation to or from the airport, or if you're stuck somewhere and you have an emergency, there's always 24/7 telephone line to help you. Also, each student is assigned a house parent, and the house parent is responsible for your well-being. So, for example, I can't recall how many times I knocked on my residential house parent's house at 10 p.m. and just shared with them how homesick I felt or a problem that I was dealing with at the moment. These people are truly there and they're trained and they want to help you out. And you truly learned how to build relationships with adults that are not as much based on hierarchy, but more based on mutual trust and actually how to communicate. And this also goes with teachers, because all of the teachers there, they're so incredibly passionate about the subjects they're teaching. And all of them bring also their own culture, and they're willing not only to teach you the subject, but also why do they interest in the subject. Or for example, I had teachers who would invite me to their house to learn how to make their local food. You build incredibly close relationships with both the students and the adults in the college. Next slide. As I mentioned before, every day you're just sitting there and laughing with your friends or studying together, and you don't even realize that these will become memories. On the picture on the right, it was with my whole year group. So we decided to bike one day and we biked to the local hill and we just watched the sunset all together. Picture in the middle is the classical UWC experience of talking until very late at nighttime about your own culture, life back home, and then realizing that it's super late. Picture on the top is with my floor mates. we were taking a late night walk, and then suddenly it was very dark around, and we stumbled upon something, and we weren't sure what it was. And then we opened our phone flashlight, and then it turns out that we had stumbled upon a sheep because we had walked so far away from the campus. And it's just all these spontaneous moments that at the moment, you don't realize how special they are. Next slide. There's also an incredible experience that the colleges offer called Project Week. And this is an experience where literally the school pays for you to travel. So what happens is that students choose a specific theme or topic that they're interested in. And this could range from completely different, for example, sports, culture, heritage, engineering. And then they go in a group of 5 to 8 students without any adult supervision, and they travel around. And the school has the budget, and you have to budget beforehand, for example, how much for accommodation, how much for food, transportation, etc. And Project Week for me, it was the first time that I traveled without any adults, and it truly made me understand how to build independence and how to actually travel, because before it seemed to me such a daunting and scary experience. And during Project Week, there are so many adventures that happen. For example, I remember picture on the left, we missed our train so many times and lost the other members of our group because we were just sitting there and gossiping, and then the others had gone out on the correct station and we were stuck. And all these moments. Next slide. As I mentioned, with Project Week, you can build so many different experiences and go to the different countries. For example, the first year I went to Netherlands, second year I went to Berlin. And for me, going to Berlin was a very special experience, realizing how possible actually it is to bring peace in Cyprus, because seeing the ruined watchtowers from the Berlin Wall and realizing that peace is also possible in Cyprus. Different students, for example, have gone biking around the Netherlands, to Prague to explore the cultural heritage. So you can build completely the schedule and the experiences that you want. Next slide. And these are some pictures with my best friends. And I just want to mention a quote that and we had returned to a room and our other roommates were sleeping. And so we went to the bathroom and we were just laughing there for 2 hours and just talking. And then at some point she stops laughing and she turns to me and she tells me, "Do you realize that if it wasn't for UWC, we would have never met?" And we reflected for a while for this, and the fact that all these incredible people you meet at UWC with all their dreams, aspirations, culture, religion, all these people, if it wasn't for UWC, you'd have never had the opportunity to meet them and to experience life together, which I think is the best part of UWC. The fact that for 2 years, you get to live together with these people and become stronger together, because you go through everything from academics to social to being away from home. Everyone is experiencing the same struggles and the same problems, and everyone, teachers, students, alumni, everyone is there for each other all the time. And next slide. The UWC experience doesn't just stop after the 2 years that you attend. UWC has so many incredible opportunities for scholarships for university. For example, there's a Davis Scholarship Program in the USA, which has over, I think, 100 or 200 partner colleges in the US, which range from small liberal arts colleges to Ivy Leagues, and they provide partial or full scholarships. For example, most of my friends are currently studying in the US on full scholarships, which if you have been before with the US application system, it is incredibly hard to get a full scholarship as an international student. There's also many UWC nominated scholarships, so scholarships exclusively for UWC students, for example, for schools in Hong Kong, Canada, UK, Europe. And there's also the EU scholarship program for the Turkish Cypriot community, which extends for universities. And next slide. This is my cohort of graduates, so people who have graduated last year from the scholarship program for Cypriot students, and all of them are studying at completely different places. For example, we have students studying business in Sweden, in Germany, in the US, in UK. And if there's just one thing that I want to maybe transparent is the fact that if any one of my co-years was here today and talking about their experience, every single person will have different pictures, different friends, different people to share about their experience, because every single person's experience in UWC is different. But what is common is that every single person goes there with set expectations, but you learn that the UWC experience does not only last 2 years, and it's not only about those memories, but how much stronger you become, and truly how much your worldview changes because of this experience. And next slide. So I want to ask all of the prospective students, what do you want out of your UWC experience? What kind of friendships, what kind of experiences do you want to have? And yeah, I think that's the end of the presentation.
Thanks, Leanne. I'll take over for a few more slides quickly. Ozzy, I don't know if you can help me out if we have anybody on the call from one of the schools. I think we have some. I think Nissan was on from Bosnia, and people there. Anyway, we have this year we're offering scholarships in Bosnia, which is in the UWC School of Mostar. We've been using that school now for over 5 years. It has around 200 students. It's a relatively new school, started in 2006, and it's in the beautiful town of Mostar. Robert Bosch College in Germany. It's a very, very new school, started in 2014. It has around 200 students from around the world, and it's located in Freiburg, which is Germany's green city, and they specialize in a lot of environmental related projects. The Adriatic College, which is in Trieste in Italy. It's right up in the very north of Italy on the border with Austria and I think Slovenia. It's one of the older schools, started in 1982. It's a beautiful building. It's on the sea. They focus on music with the local a local school in a local music academy in Trieste, and also they using the resources of the sea for many sea sports and sea activities. And Maastricht, which Leanne has talked a lot more about, which is in Holland. It's a very new college. Deals a lot with sustainable type projects, and it's very much focused on sustainability. I'm going to run quickly through those. I think we have on the call a couple of students from different schools, and I think after the next couple of slides, I might ask them to say a few words. So there's a bit of a heads up for you there, if you heard me. So why would you want to go to UWC apart from everything that Leanne has told you? Apart from all of those, the strong curriculum, the friends you're going to make, the great access it has into universities. It's also it's a worldwide organization, and there are now over 60,000 alumni who all participate through Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and it's a community in its own right. It has a fantastic opportunity to provide you through life with contacts and people around the world. I'm an ex-student, and I'm still in touch with many people all over the world through UWC. So that's like, how do you apply and who's available? This program is called the EU Scholarship Program for Cypriot Youth. There are certain eligibility questions you have to answer. They're on the screen at the moment. They're also on our website. I'm not going to get into too much detail on there, but please check if you're eligible. The program is basically available for Cypriots, and they have a few tests there to prove that you are a Cypriot. If you check out our website at www.cy.uwc.org, all of the information and this presentation are on there. The key date is 7th of January. Please submit your application. The applications are online through the website, and you can apply there, but please get your application in by the 7th of January. We already have a lot of applications started. If you have any problems with the application, you can reach out to us on our info contact number, which I'll give you in a minute, and we can try and help you if you're having issues with accessing or not understanding something on the application form. Financial needs assessment. The scholarships are available for anybody regardless of parental income. However, once we have selected students and through a completely independent group, there is an assessment done on the families to determine whether the families can contribute small amounts to assist with the program and there. So, if you are accepted or if your child is accepted there, we will then be contacting you with a suggested contribution that you should be making. These are not large amounts, but they all help towards the program, and it's part of the UWC philosophy that's adopted worldwide. Again, on our website, there's frequently asked questions, and there are more details about this. Key dates. We're going to run through the most important date for now is the 7th of January. Get your application in by then. If your application is accepted, there is a bit of vetting on them. There will be an in-person workshop on either the 3rd or the 4th of February. So please, if you are seriously applying, leave those dates free, because hopefully you will be invited to a workshop on those dates. And then from that workshop, a smaller group of people will be invited to interviews on the 10th and the 11th of February. We say here late March, early April for nominations. We would hope that's a little bit earlier, probably be early March, mid-March that we would be making nominations. The final approval of a nomination is done by the school. They have the right, we will nominate people to the school. The school has the final say of yes or no, whether the nomination is accepted. We also have what we call an approvals board, which is run through a very high level committee involving people from the EU and from the 2 communities in Cyprus to verify and the nominations that the selection committee puts forward. There are certain website resources here. You've got all sorts of information on there. I'm going to leave them on the screen here. Each school has its own website. At the bottom there, info@cy.uwc.org. We can be contacted on that if you have any questions, or you can probably contact us through Facebooks or Instagrams there. But all the information is there on the screen. You need it. The YouTube has some great videos. A lot of them are done by the students at the schools, and they show life at the school. They're quite interesting to watch there. Before I get to the questions section, I noticed definitely that we have Grace and Erim on the call. I don't know if you would like to say anything a little bit about Robert Bosch College, and if we have students on from the other schools, maybe you can let me know. But Grace, Erim, are you around? Would you like to speak for a minute? I'll give you, or a couple of minutes most. I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, so we'll move on to questions. I think we'll go straight on there. So Ozzy, I don't know if you want to take over the program again. If you have any questions, I think we can suggest that you raise your hand using the icon you can, and we can go around there, or you can write questions in the chat and we'll try and address those. So, yeah. I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I think it gives us more space to view.
And one important thing, obviously not to miss, is that you can apply in English, Turkish, or Greek. So this is an important element I think we thought you should know. So that's one thing. Any questions, please raise your hand. You can ask in Turkish, Greek, English.
Can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Can I participate in more than activity?
Yes, you're encouraged to participate in many activities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can answer this one.
Thanks, Cleo.
So I am a student first year in UWC Adriatic, located in Italy. And personally, I participate. You have to participate in one social service, one physical activity, and one creative. And in your IB record at the end of 2 years, you have those 3 activities. But in the time of the 2 years, if you want to participate in extra activities, either that's a creative, social, or physical, you can easily participate if there's space in that activity. And those are your additionals. So if you want to participate in an additional activity, it won't be on your, it will be on your IB record that you participate in additional activities, but it's encouraged from the school to participate, because personally I have 2 physical activities, and I think it's a great opportunity to have more than one, because you have so many options, and so you can participate in more than one, and it's really encouraged, and it's actually a pretty cool experience to have more than one, because you get more information about other activities. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I see we have a few things on the chat line. Somebody asked what happens if you fail a course. Well, we would hope you wouldn't. Through the tutoring process that Leanne explained, and the number of tutors and help, there are obviously regular assessments through the whole 2 years, where, you know, if you are struggling in a particular course, they will give you additional support, additional lessons if need be, and they will try and work with you to get through it, and work there. So I think that's I mean, it is, you know, you don't want to fail a course, obviously, but I think that support mechanism is there to help you with that. But I don't know if that answers that question. Somebody asked to explain a little bit more about house parents, mentioned by Leanne.
I can explain that. And before I explain that, just to add, I'm joined by my father. So if any parents have any specific questions, they can also ask. About the house parents, they don't live on the floor, but they live close to the floor. And they basically help you out if you have any issues. And if, for example, you have any problems, you can always go to them. And they're trained, and some of them are single people, some of them are couples, some of them are families, some have pets, and they bring their own experience, and they really want to help you out. If you have any problems, you can always go to them. And they also share reports with parents. So if you have any problem, or if the parent is concerned, they can also directly contact the house parents.
Thanks, Leanne. There's a question here about which school can you choose. The answer there is that at the interview stage, any student reaching the interview stage, we will ask them the question to provide any preferences that they have in particular schools. But ultimately, that decision on which school they go to is decided by the approvals committee. Obviously, we haven't been living out with. Grace is raising her hand, I think. Do you want to say something?
Yes, just to ask you to also ask questions directly to specific schools, so that maybe we can also help you more with saying your preference if you go through the procedures later on in the workshops and interviews, so that you can have a better idea of what would suit you best, because they're quite different in many aspects, like living aspects, one of the many.
There was one question about how many applications do we have. Last year, I think we had around 95 valid applications. And that might give you an indication. I think we had 76 people at the interview workshop. Okay. There's a couple of questions here that are written in either Turkish or Greek that I saw. I don't know if somebody can help with translating those. Are there any specific qualifications taken into account in order to get accepted? There's no specific qualifications. If you go to the UWC website, it does set out the criteria that we expect to assess people on and see. What we're looking for is students who are interested internationally, who are a little bit more outward bound. They're looking for new opportunities. They may demonstrate the fact that they are involved in activities other than just school related. Help me out, anybody, if I missed anything. That we're looking for people who at some point may demonstrate to be future leaders in the community, and that's very difficult to assess in a young student. As far as academically goes, we are looking for students who would be able to be successful in passing the IB. We don't look for necessarily A grade students, but we are looking for students who will be able to be successful in the IB. And the reason for that is because if they're not, that they would then end up focusing so much on studying that they may not get involved in all the other good activities of the program. I see Ilias, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, good evening. Do you hear me?
I hear you, and I think you can
Okay.
answer speaking. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to ask Liana's father, how easy was for him to let his daughter leave Cyprus for 2 years at this age of 16, I think.
Ne dai să mute.
Very easy. It's I took it as an opportunity for Liana to be exposed to an environment outside home, which was safe and also challenging. And everything that happened since then, it basically reinforced this idea that he had some difficulties, which he overtook. It was great collaboration with the school and with Michael and everybody's around. And she was a completely different person in a nice way coming back. So, yeah, I mean, it's always a risk, but at some point you have to let the best out of the nest and let them fly. And it's much easier for them to do that at 16 in a protected environment, like the UWC offers, rather than suddenly come all the freedom of a university with no previous experience. That was my view when they went out. And I have another daughter who is now in the first year at Adriatic. And the experience reinforced that that was a good idea. And that's an honest opinion. It's I wasn't expecting it to be easy. I expected some difficulties, and it was just part of life. And it was just really a nice way to prepare before going to university.
Thanks.
Can I just add one thing? Is that the parents can visit the schools at any time of the year, and they visit very often. And also there's breaks very often in the school year, so the students can also come back to Cyprus.
Okay, thank you.
And Ilias, I'll add to that. I think it's a very important question you raised, and I'm a parent myself, and I know it's very difficult to let your young ones go, and
Yeah.
it is a tear, and especially in your mind you've already probably got the hope that they will go to university or to college, but for them to leave 2 years earlier, it is a bit of a it's a little bit of a heart-wrenching thing, and it's there. But I think and what Leanne's father was saying is given the opportunity that it offers to the kids and their growth in the future, it is a fantastic opportunity for the children to do through. It is a sacrifice for the parents, but I mean, parents, as a parent, you're always making sacrifices. So that it is, the parents have to be, in the scheme. I think Leanne's comment was very good as well. They're encouraged to visit, they're involved there. It is there, and there's a great support community around it. So, at the end of the day, though, it is obviously a personal family decision.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Help me out, guys. Which questions have we not answered that are on the chat?
There is one. I've had the same problem when I was applying with the grades. I guess it's referring to the Greek Cypriot system, that they have not yet received the grades of the term, and if they can submit them later.
Okay. Thanks, Grace. Yes, we realized that with the 7th of January deadline, some people may not have this term's grades available. Please provide the latest grades you have in your application. If you get towards the interview stage, we reserve the right to ask for, the latest term grades. By then it should be mid-February, and hopefully you'll have those grades. But as I said earlier, we're not all about grades. We're about people, and what is that? The character of that person. So that's
Mike and Leanne, or anyone else. There's a question about the workshops. If you can give a little bit more information about what happens on the day.
Okay. We try not to give too much detail away on what happens. The workshop is a chance to bring interested students together for a workshop type experience. It typically takes about 4 hours. During that time, there's usually a couple of group games, a few other little activities that participate, and some kind of break with lunch. I mean, it's 4 hours sounds like a long time, but it's fairly relaxed period. It's usually one hour of one game, 1 hour of another game, and enough time in between to these things. So basically, it's a group thing. I think the interview workshop in its own right is a fantastic experience, even if you don't make it through to the interview or don't make it through to the qualification. It's try to design it so that it is an education experience for somebody participating. But it's basically that. So the games they're not academically related. They're different structures, and to be very honest, we haven't even finalized which ones will be played during the next course. If you do know ex-students, the best way to find out about those things is talk to current students or ex-students and ask them about what they went through. Thanks, Ozzy. I think there were a couple more questions on. There's one here that says, is there a possibility of the scholarship being cut? The answer to that is no. The scholarship is given to the individual. There's no contract signed with the student, so can it be cut? A student, on the other hand, if a student is if they breach what they call the code of conduct at the schools, if they are misbehaving to a severe extent, they can be suspended, they can be ultimately expelled from the school, and in which case, I mean, at that point, there's never been a request in the past for any refund, although we've never had that happen, to be honest. We've never had it, touch wood, it wouldn't. If a student chose to leave, after the first term because they didn't like it, then I think, we as a committee would have failed in the students we selected. We obviously try and hope through the interview process, through the workshop process, that we are, picking students that will enjoy the process, a UWC experience, that will get through it. Every student will go through their ups and downs. They will be homesick at times, but there is an immense support network around to try and help people through it. That's there. So that would be my answer to that question.
We also have a question about how hard is the curriculum of the IB, and if it's harder than A-level. So maybe we can have a few students talk about the IB program in general. Nissan is
Nissan, go ahead.
very willing.
Okay, I graduated from UWC Mostar like a year ago. So basically, it's definitely a little bit harder than A-levels, but it's manageable. Like, I don't know how to say without getting offended. So it's harder, but like when you get in there and you figure your way out through what they're asking from you, you're definitely going to get a good grade. I think that answers. I hope so.
Anybody else want to add something to that? Go on then, Cleo, and then we'll have Grace in there.
Also, as you said before, there's so much support from the school, like not only for like your life there, but also for IB and also from students. So we have this thing called college service, and there's some students that can help other students with their studies there when they have a subject that have some difficulties with. Other students can help them, but also because you're living in an environment that everyone there studies IB and everyone knows the IB system, is really helpful. Like the environment and the community is really helpful, and you can easily find help with whatever difficulties you have with the IB.
Grace?
Yeah, and just to kind of conclude, I guess, it's very important. I think a lot of people are very anxious, especially first term with their grades and the classes. It's important not to fall behind, but having in mind that everyone is coming from different backgrounds, there's going to be different educational levels as well, which means that if you don't do as well in the very beginning, it's totally okay. It's expected to some extent because it's a different language, which is sometimes very demanding, to be honest. And then maybe it's a new subject. Like I had anthropology. I've never had anthropology before in my life. So it's a very new subject. So if things in the beginning seem a bit rough, it's okay. Everyone is very understandable and you'll get through it.
Have we covered?
Oops. We have a question. Someone asked, if our family does not have a green passport, can they come to us? Can they come to us to visit?
Can somebody help? What does a green passport mean? Can somebody
Yeah,
help?
like I believe this will need to be if they need to take a visa normally to go and go to an EU country, it will apply the same. So they will need to get a visa if they need to go and visit. Someone else asked how much the tuition fees are. Anyone?
The tuition fees are under the scholarship program. So it's, no, I don't know, Cleo, you've got your hand up. What did you?
I think it's different for every school, but personally, from my experience, like because there's some people from other countries that are not under this like scholarship program, and they don't have full scholarship. I think for Adriatic is 46,000, but it's not really like it's not important like for us because we're under the EU scholarship, so it doesn't make any difference for us.
The answer I would do is, the fees are obviously, quite expensive. So without a scholarship program, it's very difficult for somebody to go. At UWC, almost every student there is on some form of scholarship program. And we have students from, every ethnic background, every, I don't know what the word, every social level, every family wealth, different background, from refugees to, I mean, there's been princes and people there as well. So it's a huge range, both of ethnicity, different countries, different wealth groups. The whole idea of UWC is that people can attend regardless of income, regardless of where they come from, as long as they are a suitable type of candidate for a UWC. And Cleo was right that each school is slightly different in the amount. It depends. Obviously the fee, though, I mean, is designed to cover. It covers all tuition, all accommodation, all food, all boarding. The scholarships we offer cover all of that. We typically ask parents to, handle flights and pocket money for the students. But we even have schemes available there to assist if need be. But those are done only on an as needed basis. Are there any other questions we haven't missed? If you had something in the chat and we didn't get to it, maybe you can raise your hand and let us know. We apologize.
Merhaba. Sarıyla alakalı soru sormak isterdim ama Türkçe sormam mümkün mü? Evet. Şey diyecektim. Şimdi bana e-mailden atılan tarihlerle burada söylenen tarihler arasında birazcık fark var da gün olarak. Yani ben başvuru yaptığımda bana gelen tarihlerle burada gösterilen tarihler farklıdır. Yani gün olarak ama ay olarak değil. Yani ben de Zoom görüşmesinin sanırım 3'ü bir şey olacağı yazar. 3, 4, 5 falan. Yüzünün de aynı şekilde ama burada 11 bir şey yazar sanırım. Onu bir sormak istedim. Veriyorum bu.
Mikrofonları açık olan birileri varsa lütfen kapatsın. If you have your microphone on, please switch it off, put it on mic, on mute, sorry.
Can I get in here? I think the question was something about mix-up in deadlines. The deadline for the application is the 7th of January. If the person asking the question maybe could send us a note on info, because I'm not aware of other deadlines being out there. But if there is something out there, somehow we've made a mistake, please let us know and we'll try and fix it.
If you can forward the email to us, so that we can have a look what you have on your on your email, and then we'll get back to you.
There's a note here on the chat says, if I'm not wrong, the dates of the interviews were 17, 18 of December. I don't think that the interviews will be on the 10th and 11th of February. So that's with the date there, and the workshop will be on the 3rd and 4th of February. I think there is a note there from Ilta that has clarified it for everybody in the chat. I think Ilta, in your note, I think the interviews are planned for the 11th, for the 10th and the 11th. I don't know if you can rewrite that one. Any other questions, anyone? There's one that's just popped up in Turkish, Ozzy, I think.
The question is whether there's a need to hold a Cypriot passport of the Republic. And the answer is it's not necessary, it's not needed. They just need to be born in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked if they're gonna get the recording. The answer is we will be working on the recording, and we will have the recording in 3 languages. And as soon as we have that ready, because that needs some time to work on, we will upload it on YouTube, so you will be able to watch it again. Someone asked what language we are expected to speak in the interviews. I think it was mentioned earlier on as well, but we'll change. We'll repeat. When you start your application, you can choose which language you would like to have your workshops and interviews in. So that is basically whatever language you prefer. The short answer is that. So I have some
Greek, English, or Turkish, please. In terms of, it's an interesting, in terms of the English, if you do request, Turkish or Greek language, there will be during the interview process and maybe at the workshop an element of English that will be required. It will be basic. Being able to speak fluent English is not a requirement of the project, of the scholarship, but you would be put into a community for 2 years where English will be the spoken language. So we need to assess that you at least have the ability to be able to learn English very, very quickly. Anything else?
Someone just asked that they hold a passport from the Turkish Cypriot community and a UK passport. Which schools will I be choosing?
If you have a Turkish Cypriot passport, I believe then you will be, there won't be a school choice as such. You will be applying to the same program for any one of the 4 schools. How is a normal day school spent? How many lessons does the student take? Okay, Grace, go ahead. You want to answer that one?
Just very briefly clarification, because I've heard that from a lot of people. It really depends on the school you're going to. After talking with some of my co-years, I found out that we have quite a different schedule than some other people. So then maybe like someone else from Adriatic, Maastricht, and Mostar, they can maybe pin on a bit on their schedules after RBC people. So like in RBC, we have 4 lessons per day in the first year, and they're 1 hour and 15 minutes each, and we have a break in between, so we finish from 3 to 4:30, depends on the day. And then second term, we have another additional class that is added, which is during our lunch break, so we have a shorter lunch break. Yes, it's still okay. And then the second years have 2 free blocks 5 free blocks if you're a self-taught student. That's a bit more of like details, but yeah, you have like 2 free blocks, which means that you have some more free time in between, but generally you have the 4 classes per day for us. And then in the afternoons, you have the classes that Liana mentioned before, so your activities, which are once per week, and they can range from 1 to 2 hours. And for us, weekends are completely free. So yeah, if anyone else wants to jump in for their schedules, please do.
I can do Maastricht. So we have around 6 periods every day, excluding the 1 period lunch break. That's both for first years and second years. Only difference is that we have different lunch breaks if you're in first year or second year. Each period is around 55 minutes, and yeah, we end at 3:15 and start at 8:10, and then after school from like 3:30 until like 5:30 even, you can have your CAS activities. You may have CAS around between like 1 to 3 times a week, depending on what you choose. And again, depending on what you choose, it may be during your school hours. For example, for me, in my free periods, I have my service. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Weekends are also pretty much free, except for Sunday nights. Usually you have a residential event, and Thursday night will usually be a floor night. But yeah, school-wise, that's
I can answer for Adriatic. In Adriatic, you have to choose 6 subjects. One of the 6 has to be a language A, and you have to take Italian. You're obligated. There's 3 levels of Italian, and you choose from them, but also Italian teachers like kind of help you with that, because I'm in the easiest level because I've never studied Italian before. But for me, because my language, which is Greek, is not provided by the school, is provided by the school, but it's a self-taught language. So we do word literature. And so basically I have 7 subjects, and we have five blocks a day, but some days can be full. Some if you have 7 subjects, some days can be full, but most of our days have at least 1 block free, and that block the student can do whatever they want. They can like sleep, go to eat or something like that, study. Our CAS activities are in the weekdays in the afternoon, and some social services are on Saturday. Mine, I have animal shelter, and it's Saturday morning, but it depends on what you take. And our school finishes at 1:15, but we have extension period that goes until 1:45. And extension can only be taken by a teacher that wants that day, and they're gonna inform you from the lesson before if they want to take it. And lunch is from 12:30 until 2. So in that period of time, you can go to the cafeteria and eat, and after that you have your activities.
In summary, most of the schools, obviously, I would say about 1/3 of the time is dedicated to academic related work. Mostly it's usually in the mornings, and sometimes, and then afternoons and evenings are broken into either CAS activities that were talked about earlier, different activities, or free time to use as the students want, interact, socialize. Their weekends are typically free, but the schools organize, or the groups or the students organize a lot of activities over the weekends in order to, because they're a group there together, and there's a lot of things going on. I hope that answers that question. Ozzy, help us out.
There are a few more questions.
Yes.
Someone asked, when you apply, which did you choose, IBDP or IBCP?
Does any student know the answer to that question? I don't.
IBDP,
The
Yeah.
DP. IBDP.
DP. IBDP.
Mhm.
Thank you.
This scholarship program is for the IBDP. So it was, in order to be covered by the scholarship, this is what you apply for. Another question we have is if you have to learn the language of the location that you end up.
I don't think you have to learn it, but you're very much encouraged. Go on, Irim.
Let's go. I mean, I think it's such a taboo. Like, if you come here, you need to learn German, but I think it's not really necessary. Like, I think it would be way better for you to try to learn German language. I mean, you don't lose anything, like extra language, but you don't have to take any German. And lots of people know English, and it's so easy for you to communicate. And it's not really complicated to learn basic words to ask what is the price of specific things. Yeah.
Go ahead, Cleo.
In Adriatic is different because for us, if you take Greek or Turkish A, you have Italian as your 7th subject because you're obligated to take Italian as a subject. But if you have Italian as your 7th subject, that means that it's not gonna be in your IB diploma because it's like an extra subject, but it's still a subject and it still counts. You still do the exams, you still go to the lessons, you still have tests. But yes, you're obligated to take Italian as a subject, and you're really encouraged to learn Italian because everyone there, the community that you want to build, like that you're gonna live for 2 years, speaks Italian mostly, and you're really encouraged to have a relationship with the local community too, I think, in all the UWCs.
We have a question, actually a few people asked this, whether choosing a different language rather than English during the interview or the workshops would be a disadvantage.
The answer is no. We want people to apply in a language that they are comfortable with. It does help us if people apply in English from the point of view of just logistics, but we want during the interview and during the workshop, we want people to be comfortable in a language. At the workshop, however, regardless of the language you choose, there will be sections of the workshop that will be carried out in English. Although we will provide instructions in all 3 languages.
Someone asked, can we choose different subjects or the program is fixed? Grace is answering, but maybe for everyone to hear.
Grace, do you want to expand since you answered?
Yeah, I can expand on that. So you have quite some freedom in making your own mix of subjects. The only mandatory thing is that you have to have math. And we have 4 different types of math, as Liana mentioned very briefly. 2 of them are higher level, 2 of them are standard level. And then you have again like two groups, which is more like statistics, which would be the AI, and more algebraic, which would be the AA ones. Personally, as a Greek Cypriot, I found that the AA was closer to what I've studied in Cyprus. Just maybe I can give an idea to some people very briefly. And then the only other kind of constraint is that you have to have 1 subject per area. Like we say group 1 subject, group 4 subjects. So 1 from the natural sciences, 1 from the humanities, social sciences, 1 from math, 1 from languages, but then languages we have it twice. So you have like these small constraints here and there. and you have one extra, the sixth subject, you can either be from the arts, or you can exchange it from a second subject in another area. So for example, I have 2 sciences instead of 1 because I traded my arts for chemistry. So you're quite flexible in some of the subjects. For example, what we have in RBC, ESS, of environmental societies and science and systems. Thank you. We have that, and it is both a natural science and a social science. So you can take it as either. Yeah, you go on.
Also, sometimes there is a situation where you cannot have HL. For example, in ESS, you cannot have HL. Also in our school, because we don't have SL teacher for history, if you're choosing history, you mandatorily need to get HL.
Yeah.
And also at math, you're expected to choose your SL or HL start of your course. So like at your first term.
For some, basically for some colleges, there's some differences in what subjects, in what levels of subjects they offer. So you can check that out. I'm pretty sure I had it on the UWC Cyprus page, where you can see which subjects are offered and which levels. So please go check that out or ask us. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Also, basically the art, like if you want to have a basic knowledge about it, we have visual arts and also theater. And in different schools, there's a different arts.
Yeah.
If anybody want to add.
Guys, please don't use acronyms because the interpreters may not know what they stand for.
Can I just add something? Because Grace mentioned before that every UWC school is different. Every UWC school is different, but the experience by itself is the same everywhere. So don't stress too much now if you don't know which school you want or language or which subjects, because everything will be explained further. Just if you're interested in the program, just apply for it and you will learn everything in a later stage.
Thanks, Liam. Cleo, do you want to add a couple of quick words?
Yeah, to add on what Liana said, I just want to say that when you go to your UWC school, every subject will be explained to you, and they will explain like what you will do on that subject. And I personally didn't know all of my subjects. I knew some that I wanted to take, and I went to those sessions that you get your subjects explained, and also teachers are really helpful for you to choose your subjects. And yeah, that's it. Basically, you have an information session about those stuff when you go to the school, and the experience is the same in every UWC school.
Go ahead, Nissa.
Also, if you join it, like if you start doing a subject and you realize it's not for you, you can change it later on. So don't actually stress about it.
Thanks. I just add as well that I think there was a question here that says how many courses can we choose from. I'm going to guess, and you know, we're probably in the region of 25 to 30 different subjects are made available across the board in different categories. The other thing that I think, following up on what some of the people were saying earlier, is that when you go to a UWC school, the first 2 to 3 weeks at each school are what we call an induction period, and during that period you will be introduced to all of the subjects, all of the services, all of the activities, and you get, you know, through that 2 to 3 week induction period, that's when you get to sort of narrow down and choose more specifically what interests you, what you would like to do. So they do ask up front for a little bit of an indication if you have preferred subjects, just to help with the curriculum. But you get so, and I think to follow up also on what Nissan was saying, you know, if during the first term you find one of the subjects really wasn't what you wanted, you can switch it to something else. You know, I have even heard of people switching as late as the second term, but that's probably not recommended.
There is a question about levels of languages, and I can answer that. So basically, the school also helps you with the English one. We did a test, not a test, but like a placement test to see what the level of our English is. And because I'm not a native speaker of English, it's not my first language, I got English B. So you get your language A as your first language. So whatever your first language is. So mine is Greek. I got Greek as my language A and English as my language B because that's my second language. But also the school like helps you with that. And you have interviews about those things with teachers.
There's a question here about where can we find what courses exist on the IB. I'd encourage you, if you are interested, to look at there's actually a website, which is the International Baccalaureate website. It is separate from UWC. They have a lot of information on there. And then if you go to each of the school websites, I believe they have more details at the school. Each school will be slightly or subtly different, but they will have the list there. But I would say that all of the core main subjects that you would imagine would be covered. And then there's a lot of other subjects also. Any other questions that we haven't, anybody got any questions that we either haven't answered on the chat or that you suddenly thought of? Erim, you're not allowed a question, but you're allowed to make a statement. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I saw a question where they asked like, where are we gonna stay in Turkish? For every school, it depends. Also, we have schools where you have a different place than you study. For RBC, we have dorms really close to a school, and you have houses for 24 people in every house, and you stay in 4 people rooms.
Thanks. There doesn't seem to be any other questions around at the moment, so tell me if I'm wrong, anyone. Just to let you know, I mean, we are all available. You know, if you contact us through the website or the info at, you know, there are plenty of resources and ways to find out more about UWC. You know, we're available. We can talk to you, we can chat, and we can meet if you need to through the process. So I think that's probably a fair way to comment on it at the end. How many people are in each dorm was a quick question. It varies on each school, but it can be, I would say 4 is the maximum, and it can be 3 to possibly 5 in some places, but Dimitriana's going to correct me, I think, and tell me.
Yeah, 4 in general, but for example, in Maastricht, in some rare cases, you could have 5 as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What is HL and SL exactly? So that was an acronym that somebody brought up. HL is higher level and SL is standard level. The International Baccalaureate is broken into, you take 3 subjects at a higher level and 3 subjects at a standard level. But yeah, so Ozzy, do you think we can conclude, or are there questions that we've missed? If we fail to answer your question, please send us a note and we'll follow up on it. Thanks everybody for your time. Thanks to all the students who joined in and helped us, and Leanne, thanks to your father for helping us out there. You know, but if you do have any questions, reach out to us and we'll try and help you through the process. So have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great Christmas if you're celebrating. And have a great new year, which I think we're all celebrating. So thanks for your time and cheers, everyone.
Thank you so much for everything.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.